Guys, and welcome back. So this is Unit 1, Day 3 notes, writing recursive functions. And this is really similar to what we did in the last video on Day 2. So our objectives today are going to be that students will be able to write recursive function for an arithmetic sequence. Students will use function notation to write a recursive rule for an arithmetic sequence. So it's going to be very similar to what we did yesterday, only we're going to change it into function notation instead of just words. And we're actually going to kind of skip down. This is going to be a short video. So we're just going to remember what a recursive formula is. And so remember that it's just a formula that defines each term in a sequence based on the previous term. It must always state the starting term or the initial amount along with whatever the change is. And yesterday we talked about using recursive rules and adding to, starting at 8, and putting it into words. Now we're going to take this same rule and we're going to put it into function notation. And function notation just uses this little piece here called f of n. And so what we're really saying is this whole piece here will stay the same. And then we're going to say that we are adding to starting at 0. So the only piece that's going to be different in each one is the plus 2 and the 0. So let's scroll down here. So this is just a big little graphic for you to help you remember. This is your shell, if you will. These little squiggly underlines here that I have, whatever number you put in the second squiggly should also go in the first squiggly. And those will refer to the term number. Remember, if you're using the first term in a list, it's generally the first term. However, in a table or in a context, your term may not be the first term. Whatever term you end up using, you'll put here, and you'll also put that number here. Your D, just like yesterday, is your common difference. How is your function how is your relation changing? And so you'll just put plus, or really you could also put minus D. This number here, the last blank, will be whatever the first term was. So whatever was the first thing in your list or your table or your graph will always go at that last piece. It's the actual value of the term number. So let's look at some examples down here. So write a recursive function for each of the following sequences. So I did just jump a whole little section there because we're only focusing right now on this. That other section in that first section we will do in class. So when I look at my sequence, the first thing I always want to do is figure out my D. So I know to get from 3 to 8, I add 5. And to get from 8 to 13, I add 5. And to get from 13 to 18, I add 5. And from 18 to 23, I also add 5. It's always important to make sure that you're adding the same amount to every term. So my D is 5. So I'm going to fill in my shell. I'm going to start with f of n. That's the next term will be the previous term plus 5. And I'm going to start that journey at 3. So once again, that was the next term is the previous term plus 5 starting at 3. Now let's look at number 2. Once again, I first need to find my D value. So I'm going to start at 11, and to get from 11 to 9, I know that I'm minusing 2. To get from 9 to 7, I minus 2. 7 to 5, I minus 2. And 5 to 3, I minus 2. Remembering to draw back on doing 9 minus 11 equals negative 2 if you're struggling to find your D value. Once I have that, I can write in my recursive form. So listen to my words as I write the pieces. The next term is the previous term minus 2 starting at 3. Looking at number 3, we can find our D as well. If you're having trouble with the decimals, just do 1.5. So your second term minus your first term is equal to negative 1.5. So that is your D value. Then you fill in your recursive function. The next term is the previous term minus 1.5 starting at 3 again. And I just realized in number 2 I put 3, but didn't actually start at 3. We started at 11. Sorry about that. I was looking at number 3 when I was writing the answer for that. So for number 4, repeat the same process. Find my D value. So I can do 4 minus 12 is equal to negative 8. So D is equal to negative 8. Filling in my function rule, the next term is the previous term minus 8, starting at 12. Now you take a few minutes and do numbers 5 and 6 and then check your work back. So looking at number 5, you should have gotten that your common difference was 2. And so then I'll read off the recursive function. The next term is the previous term plus 2, starting at negative 19. Number 6, you should have found that your common difference was negative 20. So the next term is the previous term minus 20, starting at 100. I hope that you have found this helpful. And if you have any other questions, please make sure to ask them in the next question or during class tomorrow. I will see you then. Have a great day. Bye.